everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about something that's a bit controversial in the Pokemon community, and I'm guessing you all know what that's about. That's been talked about a lot heavily recently. But first I want to talk about something that's going on at the moment, because I haven't been uploading as much, and that's partly because I've been, over the weekend, just been a bit ill. So, yeah, that's all, really. So it means that my videos have been all shuffled around, and this weekend I am going on a trip to somewhere in Wales. You know, the small country that's part of the UK, if you're not sure. But, yeah, so I won't obviously be doing any videos over this weekend. So it's going to be all a bit all over the place. I'm going to try and hopefully soon it'll be back to normal, but just don't expect many videos for a little while at the moment. There might be a few I will make, but yeah, just don't expect too many. Okay, but I am a lot better now, so I'm glad that you're all happy about it. I know in the background you're probably thinking, no, why him? But no, so yeah, let's talk about what the main problem is, and with not all Pokemon are going to be in the next Pokemon games. Okay. Okay, so I guess Pokemon was kind of hinting it, like in Sun and Moon they were not had an official natural dex, even though you could transfer all Pokemon over. You couldn't, like, you know, capture. You can, yeah, there wasn't Pokedex entries for all of them, so obviously that was probably a first hint, and then Let's Go only had, like, 150, free in it, I think, not including Lowland forms, and obviously that's Meltan and Melmetal as well, so, you know, I guess people thought because it's a remake, despite remakes in the past, has had all the Pokemon in it, they just didn't want to do it this time. Also a different game style. But now, with Sword and Shield, they've kind of officially said that not all Pokemon are going to be in there. And for a lot of people, that is going to be a bit of a problem, because they are not happy. So, I'm not too bothered about it myself, because I don't transfer all the Pokemon up anywhere. And one thing I liked about Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee is that it was so much more easier to complete the Pokedex. But obviously, I know why people are upset, because if they've trained this Pokemon throughout the generations, they might not be able to transfer it again. Despite in Pokemon Home, it will be in there, and I think maybe this could be a time for them to make maybe a Pokemon Stadium. Well, 3 or 4, depending if you live in Japan or not, because I believe there's been 3 games in Japan, though one's a demo. So, yeah, that's what I think they're should do, to have all the Pokemon in there, but meaning they can do parallel battles. But, yeah, that's going way too ahead. So, okay, that's something that I think is a problem, competitive battling. That is something that I think needs all the Pokemon involved, and that's why I think Pokemon Stadium 4 would be, or 3, would be probably better. That's how I think they should do it, but I don't think they're going to do it like that. I think they're just not going to worry about the competitive Pokemon scene, because games don't always made by, or produced by Nintendo, generally don't worry about the competitive scene that much. What else do you think? Super Smash Bros. Had the tripping gimmick in Brawl, because they didn't want the competitive scene much. But, yeah, so I feel that that's probably one of the main problems, I feel. Even though I'm not a competitive Pokemon battler, I think that is the problem that I don't know if everyone else, I think there's other reasons, like I've said before, it could be transferring Pokemon up, and yeah, I can see why that could also be an issue. I get what the sort of the point is, why they might not want to do this. The reasons why they might not want to do this is because obviously they did state that it was to do with Pokemon, and they just don't have enough time, really, and So they're kind of doing it like that. I think that's their reasoning. No, they're not. I think that's another problem. They didn't give a good enough reason in a lot of people's eyes, and that's why in Japan they're making loads of Pokemon fans are in 5 minutes. And to be honest, I couldn't do anything like that in 5 minutes, but maybe that's where Game Freak needs to do big Pokemon and just these really bad designs in 5 minutes. Actually, some of them are, to be honest, quite good, especially for the amount of time. But I think that I get why they might have a bit of a time problem because of how Pokemon is, but I think also another problem could also be to do with the storage, at least in the future, because if you have all the Pokemon, it isn't just the designs, there's also the stats, abilities, and obviously the models, so many other things, and also loading up times and stuff. I feel that can also put a little bit of an impact in the game, and meaning that we can't have a bigger game. And I feel the main part of how I like Pokemon is I like Pokemon because of the world that they're building and stuff. I don't know, and I love the fact with the mysteriousness behind these creatures, and it's really cool. But the problem is that they can't do as much of that if they haven't got as much storage because of the Pokemon. I know that you might be saying that, well, Pokemon don't equal that much storage, but in reality they do, and if there's 800 of them there is 800 of them by now, and there will be more in the future, they can't, if they keep adding it up, it will be getting more difficult to add new features like I guess the wilder area. That might be a bit too difficult because there might not be enough storage in the hardware in the future. And I know you're going to be saying that hardware in the future is going to keep upgrading, but the Switch is going to be around for quite a few more years. And Generation 9 might also be on the Switch. So that means that they might want to use it to the edge of its compatibility. And if you have ever played Pokemon Sun and Moon on the original 3DS, I've heard it's meant to be bad, so they probably don't want to go into that situation again much. So I can see why that, but maybe that's something that they need to think about more carefully. I think they also need to think of alternatives. Also, there is the free DLC part, because I have to be honest, it would get me more outraged if they started making us pay for other extra Pokemon. That would just not be very good. So you know, I don't want, if they're going to put in more Pokemon, they can't charge us, in my opinion. Yeah, so I feel, yeah, that's a way they can do it, but I don't think they're going to do it like that. So yeah, I think other ways for them they're probably going to do it is probably have like half the Pokemon this time, and then the snapped Pokemon, if you know what I mean, will be in the next, like the third version or probably the sequel. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking they're going to do. Will they do it? I don't know, but we'll see. But yeah, that's some of the negative things and some thoughts about it. I think there are some positives though if they are going to memorize the Pokemon. Is I feel that they're going to put more meaning into which Pokemon they're going to put in the games. Like some of the legendary Pokemon in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon just seemed really just wedged in. It doesn't really fit anywhere. They just popped it in just to catch, and it didn't feel right. And also I hope that they don't go with like putting as much Pokemon as possible for the third version, because that's just, I don't like that much either. They do that with again, Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. I think they need to keep it a little bit, you know, like, make sure that they put meaning into the reason why they put the Pokemon in. And they can probably, with less Pokemon, they can put more focus onto it. So, onto that Pokemon to make them more stand out. Like, I feel something that Generation 1 does good with is that each of the Pokemon feel like they belong there, and they have a bit of some of them have quite special parts, even if they're not legendary, like Marowak and Kubo. They were had big story parts, and to be honest, they're the only real two, but there are a few others, like even Mewtwo. There's a lot of other ones as well. So, yeah, that's part of the problem. Also, another thing, that's another positive thing. Another thing another bit of a problem that I do have is that I might not have all the, like, there wouldn't be enough Pokemon for the trainers, so they're going to need to make sure there's a good enough Pokemon so the trainers aren't using always I don't know, Ratiatas every time. And yeah, but I think that's some of the thoughts I've had. I think I am probably one of the more people who is feeling slightly more, not happy, but not as negatively affected by it in my mind. I feel it could be better, like they could have every Pokemon and more in, but I do feel that in the future this was gonna happen sooner or later. I think partly maybe the timing wasn't good, like on the first game on the Switch, well, second game, but even then, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee didn't have all Pokemon, so first game and second game on the Switch don't have all the Pokemon, and I feel that's something that they didn't really should have done maybe in the next generation. I think that's something that they probably should have thought about it better. But yeah, I think it was going to happen sooner or later anyway, so but I do want them to make sure they make it up from the effect it can have, and I don't know, I will hope for the best that some Game Freak does something, maybe to make them feel, the audience feel a bit happier with the whole thing, like add the Pokemon in over time. Okay, and I know my best tips though is with the audience is, I know some people are outraged, but the best thing is to be at least polite if you are going to tell them that, because they're not going to listen if you are going to be rude as well. I don't think I need to tell you this, but apparently some people are being quite rude, and a good way to do it is to just be polite and talk about it, and they're more likely to say yes. Also, it's about it online with other people, and like he said, because if they are trying to improve the game, I don't necessarily agree with that. I feel if you have a good or strong opinion, at least if you're polite and you think maybe it is a positive thing to have not every Pokemon, because I'm sure maybe one or two people out there in the world might think I think it's alright, because I don't know. But if you do feel like that or something, I'm not going to necessarily debate with people, but I think you should if you're polite, you can debate these things with them. Maybe make it less, maybe sometimes to try and make them feel less like it's important, or make it more important, I don't know, but I think that's stuff is important, so because clearly I think they could have done it better. I do think one thing that they did do good with the announcement was announcing it before the game was released, because I know some people it would have been that they knew it was I think for a fact that they didn't want this, but they kind of knew they had to in the sense, so they didn't seem like they wanted to do this, even though people were saying that they sort of did, but in reality, they're not, they didn't sound like they were going to, because if they thought it was a good thing, but they knew that fans were going to be outraged anyway, they thought, I think it was a better thing for them to be honest and straight up, and Masuda, that's it. Anyway, I know people are also partly blaming him and getting argued. I like to just say we don't actually know if it was him. Him announcing the news might not necessarily mean he was the decision maker, and so I do also want to point that out, that maybe if you could be complaining and putting like tweets all over him, his Twitter account thing, but he might not even make the decision, but he just announced the thing. It's like don't shoot the messenger. So yeah, okay, and I know he is a higher up, but I just wanted to clarify. He seems to always get all the bad news. I feel he can deal with it a bit better than some people, but I feel that's maybe I just want to be clarified that maybe he wasn't the man who wanted to make the decision. He just was told by the higher ups that you're going to have to tell them the decision. I just thought to mention that. So I do hope that the Game Freak do change their mind or something, and I feel that maybe I don't feel all Pokemon are necessary, because in the older generations, we obviously didn't have all the Pokemon that we have now, like in Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire, we didn't have all the Sinnoh's Pokemon. That's what I'm trying to say. And also, so yeah, and also, if Pokemon not being catchable, in my mind, they're not ever going to be as important much anyway in that game. So, I don't know, but I just think people are... So yeah, I feel people obviously are allowed. I can see why people are angry. I understand. I'm not as obviously as like strongly feeling that it's bad. Obviously, I would have much preferred all the Pokemon, and I wish also maybe they clarified when they announced it how many Pokemon are there actually going to be in there, because it could. We don't know. There could be about, I don't know, 800 of them, and there's only like 100 of them missing or something. I don't know. Also, though, them saying there's going to be at least over 1,000 models, including forms. I wouldn't get you too excited, because I think Spinder has about over 1,000 forms on its own. So I could be wrong, but yeah, I just thought to mention that. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, and goodbye. And also, sorry if I got anyone too angry, and don't put too many hate comments.